last Wednesday here at SDH. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out with us, as you always do, whether it is on the Twitch, whether it is on the SDH YouTube channel, or on the 280-character app. It is going in all directions. The app, available iOS and Android. So basically, pick your direction. You can hang out with us here on the morning show. And the next couple of days, this may as well just be opening kickoff, because next couple of days are stacked. Let's just put it that way. All right, so today, coming up in about 10 minutes, looking forward to catching up with Alton Byrd, the CEO of Chattanooga FC, where we get to catch up with him about the announcement yesterday where Chattanooga FC, morning Alex, is transferring over from NISA to MLS NEXT PRO. They had a big press conference yesterday. We're going to have a special out later today where we had some interviews with Rod Underwood, the head coach, with Alton Byrd, with Charles Altchek from MLS NEXT PRO, and Mayor Tim Kelly from Chattanooga. So that'll be on the network later today, as well as our programming recapping the NWSL Championship and the USL Championship. That'll be on the network later today. Hopefully we can catch up with the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, at 10 o'clock or shortly thereafter, considering that for MLSsoccer.com, Dylan got to watch the end of Atlanta United season. He was covering Atlanta United and Columbus. So we'll catch up with him and what his thoughts are in the first round of the playoffs as we get ready for the next round coming up after the international window, which leads us to Bart Keeler coming up for his normal slot at 10:30, where Bart gets to break down hiring for the U.S. women's national team. Emma Hayes breaking banks and bank accounts and getting hired, and we'll figure out what the deal is with her and Twyla Kilgore and the national team, and the couple of matchups for the men's national team coming up. And so I put the bat signal out to Bart to see if he could show back up on Friday, considering that match number 1 of this window is Thursday. You get all that. That's today. And we'll have reffing down here as well, because there's plenty to discuss when it comes to that as well. Well, we're officially in a no dilly, no dally zone. No dilly, no dally. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit the button and bring Alton in, because when you hit all your signs early, and the third base coach is just sitting there going, go on in, go on in, go on in. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to waste no time. Absolutely none whatsoever. AB, thanks for hanging out with us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you?
Doing all right. It was great to catch up with you yesterday. And now that you've had an entire evening, I guess my first question is, have you recovered from yesterday?
I'm not sure recovery is a possibility. It's kind of, have you had a chance to reflect? Yes. The recovery part might take years. And now we're focused on what's in front of us and the opportunities in front of us. And, how do we really make this a part of Chattanooga's integral fabric? How do we make CFC the team and place to be?
What have the conversations been like in these early stages? It's like you knew this was coming. You had the press conference yesterday where you're up on the dais, and then you have the stuff in the community yesterday afternoon for all the live shots for television. Leading into yesterday, knowing that you've got to kind of get your path going, what have some of those conversations been like and been about to get ready? Because 2024 is going to be here before we know it. Everybody's like, yeah, the 24th season, yeah, it's over there. But no, it's really not.
Yeah, you make a great point. We've had conversations, certainly internally, with ownership and with our staff, almost half of whom are brand new, about the parallel universe of playing our season out, but also getting ourselves prepared for 2024. And that's what we've been focused on. How are we prepared with, ticket sales? How are we prepared with corporate partnerships? How are we prepared with marketing and what 2024 is going to be? What are we going to do more in the community to invest ourselves in the community? So you're right. We looked at 2024 as not a, as we sit here today on November 15th, you would think it's 45 days. But if you take 2 weeks away for Christmas, a week away for Thanksgiving, it's actually 3 weeks away, right?
Yeah.
And in early January, middle of January, our players will start to come back, and February 1st is training camp. So we have a mountain of work to do, but I can tell you our staff and everybody's really excited about the possibilities and the opportunities for growth that this club has.
Alton Byrd, CEO, Chattanooga FC, hanging out with us here on the morning show, bat and leadoff to discuss the big news that happened yesterday as they now join MLS Next Pro. As someone who has been a part of building franchises in other leagues around this hemisphere, what attracted you to this gig specifically?
Well, think about it as a sports market. I worked the last 7 years in New York where they have 16 professional sports teams. They have 21 Division I college teams. And actually, it's more than that now with the NWSL. So it's like closer to 20 professional sports teams. And then there's some colleges that are like professional sports teams. And that doesn't include New Jersey. Chattanooga has basically ourselves and the Lookouts and UTC. So it's a rare opportunity to present yourself as the sports leader in a market that very much lives outdoors, very much has a unique presence, has a unique demographic blend. And I thought, man, if we could get ourselves into MLS Next Pro, we could be the development arm that is independent of a club. We could set ourselves up on the business side to not only sell tickets, but sell more merchandise and create some strategic relationships here in Chattanooga. I think we'd have a shot. So, yeah.
When it comes to you as a personality, because everyone in the business world has a personality, have you considered yourself to be a builder when it comes to these kinds of opportunities, or was this just a unique challenge off the board? Have you always been a builder, or was this unique?
I think it's a little of both. And I lived in Europe. I was a builder because basketball wasn't very popular in the United Kingdom when I lived there. And then it became hugely popular. And now it's number 2 behind soccer in youth sports in the United Kingdom. I can't say that I did all of that, but I think there was an era where there were just a host of really good basketball players, some of who went on to play in the NBA, some of who've gone on to play in Europe and become legends. So in that market, I think I was a builder, and I was a subconscious builder. In New York, I started a franchise from scratch. So I was employee number 1 in the G Leagues franchise, and we had some huge successes, quite frankly, on Long Island for Brooklyn. And that worked out fairly well. I think this one wasn't as much of a builder as how can I build on the really solid foundation that the founders and the board members have created. How do I create and help become, if our aspirations are to be professional, how do I help us get to be more professional? And I think we have a really good front office team. And I think we have a really good football operations team. And the blend of that just means that I'm trying to stay out of the way and help where I can with some experience.
Well, and I think that that's part of the deal, isn't it? Where you let those who know how to work in their particular kitchen, you let them cook. You sit there and it's like, all right, I want to see the 4-course meal. I trust you. Go ahead and do your thing. And there's the old Sun Tzu quote that we all kind of live by: trust the local guides, for they know the terrain. Is that the kind of thing that you're dealing with here?
That's exactly what I'm dealing with. We have some really good front office staff, and we're growing. We have obviously the best manager in soccer last year in Nisa, who has had some MLS experience, in Rod Underwood. His coaching staff is very good. We had the 2-time Golden Boot winner in Marcus Nagelstad, the two-time Golden Glove winner in Jean Antoine. So, look, I'm just trying not to screw it up.
I know that we all have to-do lists, and I know that in your car you might have a to-do list on a very, like on a dock, or it might be buried on your phone or something. where is the to-do list that you have there at CFC? Is it on the fridge with a dry erase marker? Is it in a document on your phone? You pull out the stylus, you sit there and you write it down, you jam the stylus back in, or is it on one of those big 6 foot by 4 foot white dry erase boards with a bunch of lines drawn all around it? And what do you think the next thing you can cross off of that to-do list is?
Yeah, I have it in a kind of navy blue Chattanooga Football Club diary, which I'm going to send you one, John, so you have one.
All right.
And I have it obviously on my phone. I have a super duper EA that keeps me in line, and Danica Collins. And then I have a whiteboard in my office, which has things that until I really get them off the board, they stay up there just to remind me, like, have you really done everything? So I have them all there. The next thing off the board now that yesterday has happened is now really looking at 2024, preparing for schedule, and working through the schedule with our partners at Finley. Really kind of looking at, okay, where are our season ticket holders? Where are our new season ticket holders? And what's the story and what's the impetus behind the story for 2024 that will help us get more engaged in the community? And we've created some pillars, John, around education, health and wellness, and community development. And our new community relations manager, Michaela Seitz, is really on top of that. So the things that are next, prepare for 2024 schedule, and really start building more relationships with our fans in the market through our community engagement.
Another couple of minutes here with Alton Byrd, the CEO of Chattanooga FC, here on Soccer's Morning Show. I know that Finley is having a $1.8 million renovation. You're going to get new luxury stuff. It's going to be new LED field lights, elevator modernization, according to our friends at the Times Free Press. The current elevators are 25 years old. You're getting video and skybox upgrades. This is going to be a fun new toy that you're going to be dropping into come next season.
It is, and they I will tell you, the folks at Finley have been really good to us and really good for us. I think we're going to have one of the better stadiums in MLS Next Pro. I think our fans will see enhancements that will work better for their fan experience. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited. We get a chance to spend a lot of time with the folks at Finley because we train there, and they're just good people. So they've got a lot of fun things that will really help our fan experience in 2024.
And you're getting to do it in a part of the country where the sport is growing, and it's almost growing like Tribbles in Star Trek.
Yes.
It's like exponential, where it's, Atlanta, it's Greenville, it's Chattanooga, it's, Knoxville, it's Huntsville, all these different places. It's Nashville with Major League Soccer and Atlanta with Major League Soccer. All of these markets that probably a decade ago, before Atlanta United showed up, everybody's like, I don't know if it's going to stick. It has stuck, and it has exploded.
It has. Even I'm surprised. I went to an Atlanta United match before the playoffs started, and I was blown away. I was like, really? Because in my life and career, the majority of my career has been in basketball, which is a tried and true sport in the Southeast. And I got down here, and you walk into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and you see 60,000 fans, and where did all these people come from? Who are all these people? And I saw a blend of demographics, and it was a really, really cool experience at Atlanta United. And they have knocked it out the park. That club has knocked it out the park and really been the trendsetter. So I hope we can emulate, what some of the other clubs, what Charlotte has done with their attendance, what Huntsville has done. They're surely going to be a local rival. So we have some things and some good role models to emulate here in Chattanooga.
All right, last question for you, and thanks for hanging out, especially the morning after a very, very busy day. When you have to have a question asked and answered, when you've got a question in your head, who is on your speed dial as you are trying to build what's going on there at Chattanooga FC, who are those folks that you sit there and you tap? It's like, dude, I got a question, and they'll pick up the phone and answer for you. Who's on your speed dial?
I think there are a number of people. Certainly, our board, the guys that started this club, they have relationships. So Thomas Clark and Sheldon Grizzle and Davis, of course, Paul Rustand, who's been the emperor of our brand and the creator of our brand. So there's the board. I think internally there's Doral Stalvey, who's our senior vice president of PR and comms, because he's worked across the foundation, the academy, and then also the club. And then outside, we've got a couple of folks that I've worked with for many years. Kathy Burrows, who works in sold out seating. So she helps train our ticket sellers and our AEs. Stephanie Schwartz, who has had 18 years of experience in the NBA, working in marketing. So I've got a couple of people that when in doubt, like, okay, what do you think? All right, where should we go? Angela Garcia, who runs a company called Culture Ally, who helps us on the Hispanic side. So, I got a few folks that are on speed dial, and I can text and pick up the phone and they'll call me back.
Good deal. Looking forward to it. Once again, thanks for being great hosts yesterday. Got to catch up with you, Mr. Altchek, Mayor Kelly, and Rod. Rod has invited SDH up to kind of hang out and see what's going on as things continue to grow there in MLS Next Pro. As our schedules will mix, we will do our best to come up and hang out. Alton, thanks for coming on the morning show. I know everything has just gone exponentially busy for you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for yesterday. Good luck. We'll be keeping an eye on things for Chattanooga FC.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it, and good to be with you.
All right. Alton Byrd, he is the Chief Executive Officer of Chattanooga FC. And he had a busy day yesterday. A lot of folks had a busy day in Chattanooga yesterday. It was great to catch up with them as they rolled out the carpet for us and made their statement yesterday coming into MLS Next Pro. So I guess that's your opening kickoff. Well, I guess it's your opening guest. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Alex, true. Great stadium, fun surrounding area. And I, having covered sports for, 95 years, I remember when it was basically just Findlay, and that was the new thing, And so they've done the independent breweries and the renovations and turned it into apartments and condos and all of these different things, eateries and the microbreweries, independent breweries, things like that. They've turned it into a really cool area. So if you've never been up to Findlay in that area, then I would suggest you go. KFC enjoyed 2 visits to CFC Findlay this year. Always a fun time. Yeah. And the opportunity to see a next stage for Chattanooga FC as they move over to MLS Next Pro. So really looking forward to that. Charles Altchek, we caught up with him yesterday. And like I said, we caught up with Rod Underwood, caught up with AB, and we caught up with Mayor Tim Kelly. So that'll be on later today. So I guess technically Mr. Byrd came on as almost like a coda or a preview for what it's going to be going on later today on the network. Your review of a very big day in soccer for MLS Next Pro, for Chattanooga FC, for Chattanooga, that whole area. So once again, thanks to Alton Byrd for hanging out with us. Thanks to Hayes Creech and everybody there at Chattanooga FC for being with us yesterday and letting us kind of have the run of the joint and catch up with as many folks as possible. So, and Hutch, yeah, Chattanooga is a nice city. And to see where the city on the whole has grown with the Red Wolves in USL League One and with Chattanooga FC, it's really turned. And I mean, with what we see with Dalton and high school, if you work your way back here on this side of the state line with the successes on the high school level and lower divisions, and Dalton State College. I mean, it is all over the place, right up there in that pocket. And we've known here in the Southeast that, soccer really can take a foothold and just explode, and you're seeing it in a bunch of different places in a bunch of different ways. So once again, thanks to Alton Byrd for hanging out with us, dropping in early, because yesterday, let me see if I can remember this. It was press conference at 2. Then they had to get ready for the public reception, which was at 5 for your live shots for local television and things like that. And then literally it was just Q&As and hanging out and the celebrations and live shots and all that kind of stuff. So that was why the first question I asked Alton Byrd was, have you recovered from yesterday? And I think everybody just is still on caffeine and momentum after what happened yesterday in Chattanooga. So like I said, that show will be out later this afternoon. All right. The rest of the traffic for the rest of the traffic for the week. I'll give you a bit of a preview. Tomorrow at 9:15, Madison Cruz will be hopping in to do our college coverage because the college tournaments kick off this week and this weekend for round of 64s and 32. So Maddie will be in to discuss what's going on. So we'll have a Soccer's in session at 9:15. And Kaylor Hodges and our friends at the USL show will be dropping by at 10. And they will discuss the USL championship and how crazy it was. And it was crazy. After believe it or not, after the Atlanta United match, the timing was perfect where you got to see the end of the championship. You got to see the extra 30 minutes in the PKs. So it was a full night that night. And then Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30, as he always does, to get his perspectives on everything going on in the opening round of the playoffs, Seattle advancing. And it is a 2-3 with Seattle hosting LAFC. So that will be interesting in the one-off next round. Friday's going to be really busy. And I mean that in the best way possible, because we might even have to come on a little early on Friday morning. Might have to come on a little early because we are catching up with Christina Uncle tomorrow afternoon at 4. That's for me to write down on my piece of paper. We're catching up with Christina Uncle tomorrow afternoon about her involvement in the new Tampa Bay franchise in the USL Super League. So that interview will roll over to the network, debating playing that off the top at 9 o'clock, maybe even a little earlier. Might come on at 8:45, something like that, just to play the interview, get the day started. Because 9:15, I know that we all followed this situation up in Lewiston, Maine, 6 weeks ago, I want to say. From there, a fantastic story has happened. As everyone is trying to wrap themselves around one another and continue to work and walk forward, the boys' high school soccer team in Lewiston won the state title. So the Lewiston High Blue Devils are your boys' soccer state champs in Maine. Happened this past weekend. We catch up with their coach Friday morning at 9:15. And then at 9:30, hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring will be with us. I think it's Michael Parkhurst's turn, unless he wrestles Greg Garza for it, and Greg does a back-to-back. Then at 10:15, the 10 o'clock hour, we have 2 guests. And I'm trying to figure out, because I want, because of the U.S. match that's going to happen Thursday, trying to have Bart back at 10:30, because at 10:15, Dwayne Rollins from 24th Minute is going to join us to discuss what's going on, and we'll do 15 quick minutes with Dwayne about Toronto FC, about the Canadian men's national team, maybe even the women's national team, what's going on at CF Montreal. Dwayne had a column come out where he maintained that one of the most high-profile and successful coach in the Canadian Premier League should be the new head coach at CF Montreal. So we'll get into all that. So we'll discuss stuff north of the border with Dwayne Rollins, 10:15 on Friday morning, 10:30 and beyond to wrap up the weekend. I think Maddie Cruz is going to crash then too. So it might be a three-way dance with Bart coming in, Maddie coming in. We may just turn it into a party line like we probably should at Fridays at 10:30. But if Bart can make it, 10:30 Friday morning to discuss what happened Thursday night and everything going forward that we didn't pick up with reffing down here and national team stuff and all of that. So if we can get Bart on twice, we'll get Bart on twice. Maddie will hop on twice, and it's a full week. I said it's a full week. I have it written down here. It's a full week. Trust me. There's a lot of stuff going on. So once again, thanks to everybody who is dialing in and dialing up. And it's going to be a very, very busy and a very, very fun week here to wrap things up here in week number 1 of the international window. And we will we're just going to sit there and put our seatbelts on and see if we can go from one place to the other and really make things happen. So very, very cool. So once again, thanks to CFC, and CFC is thanking us on the 200 Indie Character app, wasting no time. That's like as soon as Alton's interview is over, they thank us and they tip their cap. So no, thanks to all of them for orchestrating all of this and turning it around as quickly as they did. We wave our hands and sit there and go, hey, we like to have somebody, and they made it happen with Alton Byrd. So very, very cool. All right. Real opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code once again for those of you watching on Twitch and on YouTube and on the 280 Character app. Use that QR code right there and with our friends at Kickoff Coffee. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth initiatives and youth activities that they've targeted. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Before we get into MLS, I know this will surprise you. This will shock you. According to Rob, and this is the point that we've made a lot. When you have multiple reporters on a byline for a story, the more reporters that you have for a byline, probably the worse the story could be. And probably because this is more of a developing story, that's why there's only two. Rob Davies, Simon Locke at The Guardian. Headline: Chelsea FC faced new questions over how Roman Abramovich funded success. After leaked files reveal a string of secret payments that may have breached strict football rules, including FFP. I know you're shocked. Experts said the transactions uncovered through a joint investigation by The Guardian and international partners could lead to the Premier League imposing punishments, such as a deduction of points. Boy, does this feel like the NCAA. The files reveal a series of payments worth tens of millions of pounds over a decade routed through offshore vehicles belonging to Abramovich. The transactions in question appear to have been for Chelsea's benefit, raising questions about whether they were declared in accounts submitted to football's governing bodies. Beneficiaries appear to include the agent of the star player Eden Hazard, an associate of Antonio Conte, and Chelsea officials. Other payments appear to have connected to the purchase of players Willian and Samuel Eto'o. The payments have come to light thanks to an international investigation known as Cyprus Confidential. A cache of 3.6 million offshore records leaked to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists and Germany's Paper Trail Media, which shared with The Guardian and the Bureau of Investigative Journalism and other media. Chelsea's finances are already being examined by the Premier League in an investigation that runs from 2012 to 2019. After the ownership regime, and this is the wording of our friends here at The Guardian, had been some incomplete financial information had been submitted during Abramovich's tenure. The Football Association confirmed that it's also investigating Chelsea, while UEFA has already fined the club £8.6 million over the admission, although the powers are limited because it can only look at evidence going back 3 years. Documents dated and during and outside the period under scrutiny raise fresh questions. Okay, so here we go. Abramovich buys Chelsea for $140 million in 2003. Floods the club with cash. Then once again, the only reason that Abramovich had to go was because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Abramovich was placed under sanctions, ultimately forcing him to sell. Files analyzed by The Guardian and the TBIJ as a part of the Cyprus Confidential investigation shed light on apparently hidden payments linked to pivotal moments in the trophy-laden tenure. The material, which comes from a Cypriot offshore services provider called Merit Service, shared with the ICIJ by the nonprofit group Distributed Denial of Secrets. In July of 2017, Abramovich owns a company called Conibear Holdings, based in the British Virgin Islands. Signs an agreement with Federico Pastorello, an Italian agent, described in multiple reports as being close to Antonio Conte, spoken about the manager's contract negotiations to the media. Conibear agreed to pay Pastorello £10 million for a 75% stake in Excellence Investment Fund, a business based in the U.S. state of Delaware. And we all know when it comes to Delaware, that is one of the places in the United States that you want to incorporate, because they want the state of Delaware wants the revenue for incorporation, and their tax laws and their laws of administration are, they really don't. How do I phrase this? They're fairly fluid. They're not the most strict. Let's phrase it that way. When it comes to Delaware Corps, a lot of folks put stuff in Delaware Corps because Delaware wants the revenue of folks becoming Delaware Corps, and then you can kind of just run your company. The same day, Chelsea announces that Conte had signed a new £9.6 million a year contract. Pastorello declined to comment on whether the two deals were linked, said Antonio Conte is not our client. So once again, company tied to Roman Abramovich pays agent $10 million for a 75% stake in a business based in Delaware. Chelsea that same day announces Conte signs a deal. Now, Hazard had scored 16 goals in that title-winning season. Joined Chelsea in 2012 for €35 million. Fraught negotiations, this is the Guardian's wording, fraught negotiations with the player's agent, Jean-Biko Penac, who reportedly wanted a sizable commission worth about £6 million. March 29, 2013, documents suggest British Virgin Island-based Leaston Holdings, or Leston, owned by Abramovich, agrees to pay €7 million to a Dubai-based company called Gulf Value FZE for advisory services related to sport research and consultancy. The contract was signed on the company's behalf by Biko Penac. Unclear whether the payment was declared to footballing authorities, including the FA, and Biko Penac did not return requests for comment. On another occasion, Leston paid £1 million to Association des Jeunes Espoirs de Bobo, the former club of Bertrand Traoré, via a contract signed by Traoré's brother David. The contract is dated 2 months after the fullback signed for Chelsea. Files also reveal at least $7 million in payments made between 2005 and 2017 to companies linked to Zoran and Vladika Lemic. Vladika Lemic, a key advisor to Abramovich, was reportedly a pivotal figure in the arrival of stars like Arjen Robben, Ivanovic, Matic, and Carlo Ancelotti. Separate documents show a £250,000 payment to the former Chelsea sporting director Frank Arneson. Arneson told The Guardian he'd usually have expected the payment, a discretionary bonus, to have come from Chelsea rather than another company, but was unaware of any rule breaches and declared it for tax purposes. 4 leading sports lawyers tell The Guardian some of the payments may have broken rules, including FFP. Samuel Cuthbert, barrister. If a club were to hide outgoings by paying those sums through other entities, it's conceivable they could be in breach of FFP. 3 other lawyers gave the same opinion. And when you quote Kieran Maguire in an article, you know you're barking up that tree. Files also suggest Abramovich secretly bankrolled efforts to overturn the FFP rules through the courts, although unsuccessfully. Abramovich's Leston Holdings in February of 2014 agreed to pay a £100,000 fee to a lawyer who was challenging the legality of the FFP before the European Commission. Company owned by Abramovich also made payments that appear to have benefited the owner of a club that sold 2 players to Chelsea shortly after. The fortunes of Anji Makachchala, a now defunct outfit in Dagestan. Suleiman Karimov buys the club in 2011, bankrolls transfers. 2013, Karimov stopped his free spending, slashed Anji's budget, forced a fire sale. That summer, Eto'o and Willian sign in a 2-day period. 2 months earlier, the Abramovich-owned Leston Holdings agreed to pay 2 companies connected to Karimov for services in relating to football, including scouting and other football-related advice. 2 companies, both based in the British Virgin Islands, each to be paid €12 million. Chelsea spokesperson basically says that these allegations predate the club's current ownership, and we can't comment. So, And there's additional reporting from 2 other individuals. So this is a 4-reporter story from our friends at The Guardian. And I know this ending will shock you. Representatives of Roman Abramovich did not return requests for comment. The lawyers for Suleiman Karimov did not return requests for comment. Requests for comment from Bertrand and David Traore sent via Aston Villa were unanswered. Request for comment to Top Sports Consulting, whose director is Zoran Limic, went unanswered. So 4 reporters on a story. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. About Chelsea. So Chelsea continues. Really cool stuff in Bogota. Luis Diaz's father's been released, and they finally got to see each other. Kidnapped and held hostage for 13 days by Colombian guerrillas. 8 o'clock Tuesday morning, Luis Diaz arrives, jumps in a van to go see his father for the first time since he was taken hostage by armed men. So father and son, the photographs are out there. Very, very cool that Luis Diaz Jr. and Sr. got the chance to see each other. So very, very cool. The photos are out there. Also on the board, we mentioned what's going on in the Premier League, since I guess we're in the Premier League section of the show. Richard Arnold leaving his role as Manchester United chief executive. He's been with the club since 2007, commercial director before group managing director in 2013. Departure of Ed Woodward saw him take up the role of chief exec in February of 22. So folks are leaving as it gets closer and closer for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to become the man in charge. KFC, no doubt. Need to get them all free. Manchester City has posted record revenue, £712.8 million. Income increases by almost £100 million when they win a treble. Profit almost doubles from 41.7 to 80.4 million pounds. Will Unwin. Manchester City announces the record-breaking revenue for winning the treble. The club confirmed income of 712.8, beating the Premier League record of 648.4 reported by Manchester United last month. Get out your black helicopters. Oh, get out your black helicopters. Manchester United reported 648.4. How do we make it bigger? How do we make it bigger? More matches at the Etihad helped Manchester City's match day revenues increase from 17.4 to almost 72 million pounds. City's figures up from 613 million, so it's up 100 million pounds. Club almost doubles profit despite the large increase in wages. So profit last year at 613 was 41.7. You win a treble, you bring in 712.8. Profit is at 80.4. Premier League, Champions League, FA. Club boosted by earning an extra $50.4 million in broadcast income compared to the previous year, in addition to the net profit of $121.7 on player transactions in the 12 months to June 30th. Most of the additional TV revenue can be attributed to the Champions League campaign. 29-person drop in headcount. Wages went up by almost $60 million, of course, when you bring in Erling Haaland. One reason for the increase in salary expenditure, bonuses paid. Despite the heavy increase in money spent on salaries, up 59% of revenue, up by 1%. We mentioned the game day revenue, 31 matches from 17 to 71. Sales of Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko and Raheem Sterling brought in about $125 million, helping take the club's profit on transfers to $330 million over the past 5 seasons. You get a quote from the release from the chief exec, Ferran Soriano. You get a quote in the release from the chairman, Khaldoon Al-Mubarak. Khaldoon Al-Mubarak. Man, all these names getting at me this morning. And then, of course, the end of the Guardian article mentions, by the way, City faced more than 100 Premier League charges over alleged breach of financial rules. City said they have a comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence to support their position. Kick the can down the road, bring in the lawyers, and continue to kick the can down the road. That's what you're staring at. Part of reffing down here that Bart might need to put in his hip pocket. Howard Webb has dismissed Mikel Arteta's complaints over Newcastle winning against Arsenal this month and insisted VAR got all 3 reviews in Anthony Gordon's goal correct. Webb addressed the controversy in the latest edition of Match Officials Mic'd Up. And we remember that Mikel Arteta was less than pleased that Gordon's winner was allowed to stand following a triple VAR check. Possible offside, possible foul, whether the ball had gone out of play in the buildup. Then Mikel Arteta went off, and then he went off some more. No punishments I've seen. No envelopes from DHL to the training headquarters addressed to Mikel Arteta, head football coach, Arsenal, football club. None of that has been made public. Webb claimed that the VAR, Andy Madley and his team, plus Stuart Atwell, the on-field ref, were correct to award the goal that inflicted Arsenal their first loss of the year. Once again, I guess this is stuff we can bring back up with Bart at 10:30. Audio of the review into whether the ball had gone out of play before Gordon converted reveals Madley saying, "For me, I've got no conclusive evidence that the ball is out." Therefore, if you take Madley's statement at face value, if you ain't got nothing to go clear and obvious error, you have to go with the call on the field. And you don't have an angle, you can't sit there and say, I can't tell. Unless there's something there on the end line, then you can't come across and sit there and go, whoop. And so here's what Howard Webb says. Wow, it's 2 paragraphs. We know the ball is curved, so it can be overhanging the line, and we need evidence that it's out. We don't have it there. Ball then comes over. Joelinton challenges Gabriel. Could be a foul, might be a foul. VAR decides evidence from the footage isn't clear enough to warrant and intervene with a recommendation for review for a clear error. Then one of those unusual situations where the ball goes between 2 players trying to identify exactly when the ball leaves Joelinton is really difficult to establish because of the players being so close together. So again, no conclusive evidence. Gordon was offside when the ball last touched to him. VAR went through that diligently and identified no clear evidence to intervene to overturn the goal. The process actually was correct. Referees chief did confirm match officials erred at St. James by not showing reds to Kai Havertz for a foul on Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes for an elbow on Jorginho. That elbow was red. Guimaraes was on a drive-by, literally raises his elbow, plows right through Jorginho, and that should have been a red. Like I said, when we bring in Bart at 10:30, the Arsenal supporter, we will continue to go over this as well. Wolves, still probably hot about things. Webb says, Wolves, who Webb admitted had a penalty wrongly awarded against them in the draw with Newcastle. VAR said Webb should have deemed Anthony Taylor's on-field decision to award a spot kick against Wong for a challenge against Fabian Schär a clear and obvious error. So, yeah, we'll bring this back up with Bart at 10:30 and see what the Arsenal fan has to think about the reffing down here over there. So that's a part of the process as well this morning. Like I said, we'll get into Emma Hayes at 10:30, and we will continue to plow through everything going on. So, other news, if I could type. You sit there and it's like you're getting ready for things, and all of a sudden. Callum Wilson's out for at least 6 weeks. Sven Botman may be longer with the Newcastle injury crisis. Michael Owen got mad on the TV. And did you notice that the Glazers were not at Sir Bobby Charlton's funeral? They were not there. I mean, that pretty much tells you, I think, all you need to know. But at the same time, and we talked about VAR. We talked about a whole bunch of things. And it has just been absolutely crazy with what's been going on. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch before hopefully Dylan can join us at 10. Yeah, Kefsey, and Kefsey, to your point, Meanwhile, looking forward to the points deduction and still staving off relegation by Everton. Yeah, they seem to have found it with Sean Dyche. They really have. And there's getting adjusted to his style of play. Everton, I guess, because they have no choice, have had to be patient. And because, if you were to dismiss Sean Dyche, who would you get? Who could you afford? Big Dunk? Bring Big Dunk back? But, yeah, they seem to have, found their sea legs a little bit with Sean Dyche. And we're still, kind of waiting to see what happens with that investigation. Now, you mentioned the table. Since you mentioned Everton, we'll mention the table. Burnley's only won once. You have 4 teams right now in single-digit points. 2 of the 3 that I thought would be going down. Luton and Sheffield United and Burnley, 6-5-4. That's your relegation zone. Bournemouth getting 2 wins recently. They're at 9 points. They are 3 points clear. They've won 2 of their last 3, actually. And so the big win over Newcastle being not at full strength, turned into an advantage for Bournemouth. Then everybody else is in a big group. We talk about those groups. 9th to 16th separated by 5 points. West Ham at 17, Chelsea ahead of Brentford on goal difference at 16, Wolves ahead of Crystal Palace on goals scored. Same number of points, same record, same goal difference, goals scored. Wolves ahead of Crystal Palace 12 and 13. Everton has won 2 of 3. They're unbeaten in 4 of 5. So they seem to have found a rhythm. 14 points there in 14th. Nottingham Forest, who I think is actually ahead of schedule with wins from last season. They're at 15th at 13 points. Fulham is at 16th at 12. Brighton's at 19 points. Newcastle at 20. Manchester United at 21. Villa's in your last. Villa's in the Europa League spot at 25, and this is that first group. Manchester City at 28. Liverpool 27 ahead of Arsenal by 1 goal on goal difference. Spurs at 26, Villa's in the Europa League spot in 5th at 25, Manchester United's at 21, Newcastle's at 20, and Brighton's at 19. So we've got our 3 groups kind of formulating their way through this. And, yeah, so if Everton ended up with any kind of a point deduction, everybody was saying like 12 points could be a point deduction. That would put them obviously at the bottom of the table. It would put them 2 points behind Burnley and 7 points from safety. We'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid. Who's going where? Maybe, possibly, probably. Manchester United considering offers for Casemiro. Saudi Pro League targeting a big money move. Chelsea unlikely to put in a bid for Victor Osimhen. This shocks me. They put in bids for everybody. Osimhen said to be open to a move to Stamford Bridge, but Chelsea will have to wait until next summer, according to our friends at the Standard. Nice center back Jean-Claire Todibo has emerged as the primary January transfer target for Manchester United. Need help at the back, get a center back. Juve contacted Manchester United last week, according to the 4-letter paper, so take the information at your own peril, over a loan deal for Jadon Sancho. Manchester United Spurs have joined Liverpool and Arsenal in the race to sign Fluminense midfielder Andre. Barcelona have set Brazil forward Rafinha's transfer fee at €70 million. Arsenal have been alerted to the possibility of the January availability of Ruben Neves. Is he loaned back? Is he purchased? What's the deal there? Because Wolves sent him, and then if he cycles back to the Prem, how does that play? Gunners will also move for Douglas Luiz in January from Aston Villa. Fulham's João Palhinha said the failed deadline day move to Bayern Munich, quote, really affected me, end quote. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Newcastle looking to bring in a striker in January and could target Stuttgart's Serhou Guirassy. Jorginho said he'd like to return home and play for an Italian club before the end of his career. Leeds will soon begin contract talks with 17-year-old English midfielder Archie Gray amid interest from Liverpool. Charlton and Leyton Orient, lower division clubs in England, interested in signing teenage forward Jamie Donnelly on loan from Spurs. Bayern Munich and Harry Kane have a clause in that contract that if he scores more than 40 goals in all comps in a single season, he'll get €250,000. That's from our friends at Sport Build. Barcelona want to make the Joao Felix loan from Atletico Madrid permanent. We talked about this briefly yesterday. Sweden midfielder Emil Forsberg has verbally agreed to join Red Bulls, New York, New Jersey, from RB Leipzig in January. That's from our friend Fabrizio Romano. Still some things that have to be figured out in the transfer for Emil Forsberg, but looks like at some point that Emil Forsberg will be heading to Red Bulls. U.S. billionaire Leon Cooperman has invested in Manchester United, purchasing shares valued at around £13.5 million. That is from the three-letter paper. So once again, take that information at your own peril. And from the Times, football lawmakers are considering introducing a 10-minute sin bin for dissent. So there you go. That's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo for the morning. What to watch and where to watch it. TV. Should be a lot. But once again, remember, the U17 Men's World Cup, you've got to be up either early, or set your DVRs. The U.S. are up at 4 o'clock this morning against Burkina Faso. We'll find those results and let you know what happened there in a sec. Mexico and Venezuela, France and South Korea, that was on FS2. So basically what I'm telling you is the places you can watch matches in the U17 Men's World Cup. FS1, FS2, Telemundo, Universo, all those places you can watch the U17 World Cup. DAZN in USA and probably their YouTube channel. UEFA Women's Champions League doubleheader at 12:45. Bayern Munich, Roma, Paris, Haken. Doubleheader at 3. Ajax, PSG, Real Madrid, and Chelsea. FA Cup at 2:40 on the Plus. It is Cray Valley and Charlton Athletic. I don't know who Cray Valley is, but I'm guessing they are like National League-ish. Fox Soccer Plus also gives you U17 Men's World Cup action. League play and Nations League kicks off today. 2 o'clock for you true degenerates. It is Montserrat and the Dominican Republic at 2 on Paramount Plus. World Cup 2026 qualifying AFCON is on FIFA Plus, probably also on the BNs. Doubleheader at 11, or doubleheader at 8. That one's wrapping up. At 11, it is DR Congo, Mauritania, Ethiopia, Sierra Leone's at 2. If you don't have the BNs, or For the Fans, or CDO, or Teise, Gold TV, all those places. One place you can get them is Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the show, helps out the network, gets them subscribers, gets you true degenerates of the sport that watch it from one end of the planet to the other. More channels to watch games. They had Copa Libertadores and Sudamericana matches on Fanatis earlier on in the competition. You can watch the Brasileiro. It's all there. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. So that's what you're staring at with your gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, who's watching, and all of that. So once again, biggest news is Richard Arnold is out the door. He's leaving, and that will be part of the transition for anybody who is looking to leave, as Sir Jim Ratcliffe is solidifying his 25% stake in what's going on. Mention that sin bin. You're adopting the rugby rule, where only the captain can approach the referee as part of a drive to tackle misbehavior. Telegraph, Conor Gallagher surprised when he was called up for the World Cup last season, then had doubts over his Chelsea career in the summer. Just a few months later, he's proving himself, and so they have a feature. Once again, when we catch up with Bart at the bottom of the hour, Emma Hayes will become the highest paid female coach in world football. $1.6 million a year. $1.6 million a year for Emma Hayes. 3 times more than Serena Wiegman. So this will be a part of the discussion as well. USMNT, U.S. Soccer ain't messing around. They are not messing around. KFC, Mexico versus Venezuela is a pick of the week. For those of you in the Discord. Sharif, good morning. 2 days after elimination, looking forward to some back-and-forth matches and upcoming stages. Also in avoiding the 3 and the 4-letter paper, as we always try to do. Daily Mirror, Harry Kane has given Liverpool transfer target Leroy Sané a glowing endorsement ahead of the January window. Manchester United increasingly resigned to losing Andre Onana to the African Cup of Nations early next year. David De Gea has been seen visiting second-tier Spanish side Eldense. And Osimhen admits that he has Chelsea and Manchester United shirts in his wardrobe amid continued links with the Premier League. Daily Express, Thomas Partey's injury is reportedly worse than feared in a major blow to Mikel Arteta. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is reportedly set to demand Erik ten Hag offer an olive branch to Jadon Sancho. And also, according to The Guardian, Erling Haaland has been tipped to become the first footballer to earn £1 billion. Daily Record, you have Michael O'Neill backing Ross McCausland to make a major Northern Ireland impact after forging his way firmly into Philippe Clement's Rangers plans. Hearts have announced a record turnover of almost £21 million in their latest set of accounts. Liam Scales set to land a new long-term deal at Celtic. Scott Brown weighing up his options as he awaits his return to management after being sacked by Fleetwood in September. Could be Ross County. I think Malky Mackay is out of work, and so Scott Brown could be next in line there with his full head of hair. It is the weirdest thing. It is the weirdest thing to see him with a full head of hair. And knowing that the bald Scott Brown was a work. According to the 4-letter paper, David Moyes expected to leave his position as West Ham manager in the summer. But once again, this is from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Contract with the Hammers until the end of the season. Currently, no new offer for him to extend his stay at the London Stadium. Moyes was set to be replaced in his role during the summer, but survived after winning Europa Conference League to seal the club's first trophy since 1965. Mixed results. Supporters are frustrated again. Managerial changes are being hands frantically being waved in the air. 9 points off the top 4. So it looks like perhaps David Moyes is out the door at the end of this season. Also on the board, Marcelo Gallardo. Looks like it was a battle between Julen Lopetegui and Marcelo Gallardo to be the new manager at Al Ittihad. So it looks like Gallardo is going to sign to be as the new manager of Al Ittihad. Option to until June of 25, with an option to extend another 18 months until June of 27. Yeah, so Ross County did 38 minutes ago sack Malky Mackay. So a lot of folks might be looking at Scott Brown. And so is Scott Brown coming back into the managerial ranks at Ross County? Morning, Forecard. Morning, Sharif. We mentioned Arnold stepping down as a CEO. This is other news. In soccer over there, Urs Fischer has left his role as Union Berlin manager following a run of 14 matches without a win, including 13 defeats. Fischer had been in charge of Union since July of 2018, guided the club to the Bundesliga in the first season, but they're at the bottom of the table and have not won at all, so he is out the door. 10 o'clock, shortly thereafter, as he has raced back from getting folks to their appointed places on a Thursday. It's our friend Dylan Butler.
How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How was the race this morning? Was it just like you get there to the curb, the door opens, and the sprint is ongoing? It's just like gone?
Kind of. It was the second day in a row of daddy drop off, and showed remarkable patience in the time it was taking for us to get ready. And then we got there, and usually we get there, we have like 5 minutes to spare. So she's hanging out, she's running around the front of the school. But the last 2 days, it was like the doors were open and she has to go in. So we get there today, and she said, "The door's already open. What? Why? We should have left earlier." I'm like, you think? I wonder why we didn't do that.
Oh, boy.
So it's all about trying to teach the consequences. Your actions.
Okay. All right.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's too much for a 4.5, nearly 5-year-old. But
you're 5. You've got to learn these things now. That's how this runs. So now that we've had the first round completed, you
have we? Is it still ongoing?
Actually, you're probably right. I probably should check the calendar. It is allegedly completed because we have an international window. So this would be the natural ending point, perhaps, possibly, probably, maybe of round 1 of the MLS Cup Playoffs. Presented
like it's intermission at a Broadway show.
Let's all go to the lobby. Exactly. You got to spend your time wrapping up round number 1 with Atlanta United and Columbus, and that one was on the interesting. That was on the interesting menu. I did not have 6 goals on the bingo card. I did not have the amount of craziness that had happened. Did not have, obviously, Atlanta United going down 3-0 before having to fight back twice. Those kinds of things. You got to watch it. Your article's up at MLSsoccer.com. What'd you think?
Yeah, listen, I told you right from the beginning, right? Like, this was, of all of those series, this is the one that I was most interested in because I thought it had the opportunity to go off the rails so quickly. And it did, right? Like, I thought it had everything. When you stretch it across 3 matches, right? Like, a lot of goals, incredible goals, not so much defending, but that's fine too. Crazy lopsided score lines too, right? Like, there was no 1-0s. there was never going to be a 1-0, and there never was a 1-0. It was let's just go up and down like an NBA game. And it was listen, I'm a neutral, right? So I don't have a rooting interest in it. So I didn't live and die with every goal or every tackle or everything like that. But so for the neutral, so entertaining is yes. The word. Like I like there's factions who will not be named, who I work with, who are like, I don't want any series to go 3 games. Like, that just means it's an extra match night to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want this one to go 3 because I think, if it didn't, look what we would have been robbed of, right? Like, some incredible goals, some terrific moments there. So, I think kudos to both teams. I thought it was really terrific theater for sure.
Well, and so then let me ask you this: how many folks in your circle, whether they are just the circles of contacts and friends, who were nattering nabobs of negativism about the best of 3s, have converted after round number 1?
I still think it was too long.
Okay.
I thought it was stretched out too much, and that's the biggest argument, right? Like, I think the concept works, but I think, and I don't know what the real answer there is to not have it stress. I mean, what were the total days from the first match night of round 1 to the last one.
Let's take a peek, shall we?
I would guess it to be in the 16 to 17 day range.
Okay. All right. So I don't want scheduled scores. I want competitions. See, and this is the other thing that gets me. Every single time that I have to try and find the bracket for the tournament, I literally have to. It's not like on the front page. It's not on the front banner. It's not on the front stoop of MLSsoccer.com. I literally have to go to competitions, which is not a highlighted caret. I have to go to the triple dots, go to competitions, and then go to MLS, and then click MLS Cup Playoffs. That is a 4-step process when it should be like right on the front stoop.
I just worked there, right?
I know. Yeah, no, like I said, I know. And so I am waiting for all right. So, and then I have to click bracket. It's like latest and bracket. All right. So 10/25 was the date of the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference 8-9s. So 10/25. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31. So 6 in October, and then ending when? So the 4,
Sunday.
5. So Sunday would have been
12.
So 12 and 6, 18 days from beginning to end, from the start of the 8-9s to its completion.
Yeah, nailed it.
I guess. I mean, that's great math on your part. I had no earthly idea. So 18 days from beginning to end for season 1 of this television series known as the MLS Cup Playoffs. 18 days.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And now you have a 12-day break.
And it's weird because I don't again, you and I are huge NHL playoffs fans. Stanley Cup playoff fans. I don't. It doesn't even feel like it's that long for the first rounds.
Because then
again, they play every other night, right? Like they play
Yeah, it's staggered where you sit there and it's like, okay, the 1 and the 8 are playing. You get an East Coast and a West Coast, or you get 4 games going on where you end up 2 East and 2 West. And then you get those 4 going, and then the next 4 go, and then it's the next 4. Then you're back to the first 4. Then that way it's like they cut it in half.
Well, and plus the hockey games themselves, like you can play every night. Cup, I feel like they go the first 3 games maybe are like every night, right, or every other night. I don't think that's usually a break in the series.
No, I mean, I think
there's a rest day, like at the end, like in the game 6, 7 area. But
yeah. So I'm like it with gaps. I don't mind, and I guess this is the NHL guy in me. I don't mind length if there are no gaps. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So if my length gives me activity and keeps me engaged and interested the entire time, I'm cool with it. But this is like, oh, okay, we've got games tonight. Oh, we have to wait, 4 or 5 days for the next one. That kind of, I think that I understand why the TV partners do it this way, because you want to prolong the series and you want to prolong your episodes of this season 1 of this television series as long as possible to satisfy both your carrier and your advertisers. But it's like it's gaps, and then you lose the momentum that you had from the games on the weekend or from whenever you had a couple of them stacked, and then you lose momentum and you got to try to get it back all over again. It's like it starts and stops. It's like trying to teach somebody how to drive a clutch, and they're not quite hitting the gears, And
I think with you're always until unless you somehow switch to a different calendar, which is always, what are the 2 biggest sort of overriding talking points about MLS? It's pro rel and changing the calendar. So unless you somehow change the calendar, you're always going to be dealing with the November window, and that's always going to cause a break in your playoffs, right? You can't really start it after it.
No. And so then but I wonder when it comes to the adjustments and the for, hey, next year, let's do this. And so
I just wish it was like the NHL has had 7-game series for the longest, right?
Yeah.
We know the format.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish there wasn't a change every year with the format. I wish there would finally be one that's just like, this is what we're going with.
Now, why you want that? Why you want that? Since let's see, Kefsey says, in all seriousness, it was hard to follow the schedule. People needed several reminders on dates. You have to think that it hurts in-person attendance. I think it does, but unless there's local marketing, I mean, we don't know what the local market.
There were packed houses, weren't there? Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to think back. Like St. Louis, SKC, Atlanta, right home had a big crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus was sold out. I think Revs had a pretty big crowd. Philly had a big crowd. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. I can't really think of a team that had low attendance numbers. And Vancouver had a big crowd.
Yeah, and they opened up the upper bowl, and Benny Sartini had a nutty of biblical proportions. Before we get into the other 30,000-foot analysis of round number 1.
Is that breaking news?
Yes. Alton Byrd
yes.
is your comeback player of the year in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, well done, I thought, right? Like the knee injury, like you thought he's never going to be the same, or even the version of himself that he was before he arrived, and never was that guy who signed the record contract or record transfer fee for Sporting. But yeah, listen, well played by him. He had a great season, earned himself a new DP contract, which we could argue on.
Hey,
but he earned it, I guess. So he earned the award for sure too.
The breakdown of the awards, and it's done in thirds. It is done in thirds. Player, media, and club. Miles Robinson finished second in the award from Atlanta United, and he got more of the player vote by 5%. Joao Paulo finished third in the voting across the board. Alton Byrd gets half of the media vote, 52% compared to 11% for Miles, 10.98, and then 6.36% for Joao Paulo. And then Miles won the club vote to wrap up at 25.5%, but Pulido got 28.2% of the club vote. Joao Paulo 12.82%, so 34.8%. That equals 34.08%, and Alton Byrd is your comeback player of the year. Gonzalo Higuain won it last year. And so Alton
I always love the the portion of the bottom of it, like to kind of look at like I was having fun with this, like with the defender of the year and the goalkeeper of the year. I'm like, it just brings me back to early days of covering this league. And then I always try to look for that outlier. I'm like, who was that guy?
Troy.
Like, what happened to him?
Troy Dayak, is that the one you're thinking? Or Richard Mulrooney?
For this award, you mean?
Yeah, for this award.
I'm looking. Yeah, I don't remember Mulrooney. Dayak, I remember for San Jose.
Okay. You don't remember Richard Mulrooney of FC Dallas in 2000?
I don't. No.
Hey, Bobby Convey from San Jose. I mean, there's some names on here, and then you go, what's a Richard Mulrooney, and why are people saying these things about it? So, 30,000-foot view of round 1 outside of going to 3 games. I know that we did not have we did not have Zombie Sporting as a part of the discussion, making it into the next round.
Should have, though, right? Like I think if we and by we I include me in it, but I think if we had looked at form going in and having already played really vitally important games, I think and listen, when you were right, meaning you deserve the credit, right? Like there was a big question about St. Louis in the postseason, right? Like they had no proof of postseason concept, right? Never had played it. And the way that they play, the energy drink soccer, has proven not to be very good in the postseason, right? Like
Yep.
successful, I mean. So you were right to have concerns or worries or wonder about how they would do. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like if you took a deeper dive before just saying, oh yeah, St. Louis will win, they're the 1 seed, whatever. Yeah, I think you could see that being the possibility, right? With SKC winning that one. But everything else was chalk, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you ended up the East was chalk, 1, 4, 2, and 3. Then you end up with a 2 and a 3, and Benny Ball making its way through the opening round. So you got 4, 8, 2, and 3. So the Zombie Sporting is your wildest of wild cards. Rich Ransom, our resident Philadelphia Union supporter.
Uh-oh. Down goes curtain.
Well, but he says he wants to know why they let Lacine go, and are they going to start spending big money on the team? I don't know the first, and the answer might be no, but they're bringing in Emil Forsberg allegedly.
Yeah, and I think they probably need to, unless you can massage that somehow. I think that's a DP deal, which they do have an opening for. So I think they will spend money there. And yeah, I mean, who the coach will be is who knows. But he wasn't. That would have been like that wasn't one of those like fired or parted ways with kind of deals. Like his contract was through the end of the season, and he just wasn't the guy for them. I guess, right? Are they going big name there? I don't know. Like I say just have, like you're losing the market. So just go all out, right? Have Thierry Henry be your head coach. Bring him back. He probably still has his whatever is it, a triplex? I don't know what past the duplex.
Triplex. Let's go with that.
I think Taylor Swift has a triplex. I think Henry had a duplex in Greenwich Village in Manhattan. So,
okay. Yeah. Oh wow.
He did when he was a player, for sure. These are things you don't really get rid of, right?
No. You hang on to them as investments, and then the opportunity could be when you return.
Absolutely.
Rich is like, yeah, he turned the team around. Lacine should have been given 24.
I don't know. Again, the way that happened, I feel like they had a name already in place or a plan already in place. So
we haven't had the chance to talk the stupidity / craziness / welcome to a day that ends in Y in Montreal, have we? With the jettisoning of Hernan Losada, have we?
I didn't see that. Like, it's funny. I saw that early in the season, and then I felt like he righted the ship there. But hey, Joey's gonna Joey. That's kind of the idea there, right?
Yeah, and
if you're Wilfred Nancy, you're like, yeah, well,
yeah, it's like maybe I knew what I was talking about. Allegedly, possibly, probably, I kind of knew what I was thinking here. But when you bring on Hernan Losada, he has a certain way of playing. Those weren't his players. He had to make some adjustments with those dudes.
Yeah.
And it's like, I need time to build this. And then Joey being Joey was like, well, you didn't make the playoffs. Rawr, you're gone. I mean, it's the lack of patience. Once again, I feel like I'm dealing with George Steinbrenner here at points when I'm looking at Joey Saputo. Yeah,
that's a great comparison. And being a Yankees fan, I can tell you that the Yankees only became the Yankees of like recent lore, right? The Jeter, Posada, like Mo Rivera, like those teams.
Number 2, yes.
Because he was banned from baseball and he wasn't in charge, and Stick Michael was in charge. And they went through the youth instead of just, getting Jay Buhner, and like getting Ricky Henderson and just getting the highest price guy out there, which sadly they've kind of turned around and become again. But I digress.
Yes, and so it is crazy once again in Montreal, because Joey Saputo, it's like, no, this is mine, and it's got to go my way immediately, and then rar, and I also know before we go, Bart's coming in after you, as he always does here on Wednesdays, and we're going to have reffing down here and talk about VAR and things like that. Vanni Sartini had a nutty of biblical proportions at the end of his series, and we're still seemingly having, I don't know what you want to call them, issues, concerns, what have you, with management of matches and reassignment of play, reassignment of center refs and things like that. When you've been able to watch matches that you've seen here in the opening round, I guess, what's your overall assessment of what we've seen, and having center refs who have not been in these situations before assigned to these situations? You have inexperienced center refs being put in games one, like Philadelphia, New England. You had Pierre-Luc Lauzière, who I think that was his first playoff game in the middle. Yes, I know you have to put them in so they get experience, but for a Philadelphia, New England series, I would think that you would want someone who has experience that knows how to deal with these kinds of things.
But then what series would he have been in?
Don't know. I mean, was it just because I don't know I don't know the grading process. I don't know why, he was put in. I don't know if he graded higher than other folks. Hey, yo, Ismail Elfath, bruh, we need you in Philadelphia, New England. I would think that you would want somebody like that in a series like that. I tell you what, I want Ismail Elfath in Philly and Cincinnati. I want him in that game, because of A, its importance, and B, how he can manage a game like this that is going to, that's going to go sideways, or at least, both teams are going to attempt to make it go sideways.
By the way, can we, and apologies to Rich there, but can we perhaps will into existence the Hell is Real Eastern Conference Final?
Oh.
How amazing would that be?
Oh, wow. Considering that heck is in fact plausible in MLS Next Pro, if we had Hell is Real for the Eastern Conference Final,
man.
Columbus is a dangerous team. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're from Columbus, or they're in Columbus, or they're not in the major media market, but they, I think, are going to give Orlando what we say in the South, what fur in the semi.
I hope so. And Orlando is going to make that a dogfight, right? Like they're just looking to make it like Church Street at 3 a.m. A mess, an absolute mess. And Columbus will look to play the beautiful game. But if they can survive that, and Cincy wins theirs, then
you're trying to will Hell is Real into existence.
I am. I mean, it's a tougher job, I think, for Columbus of the two.
I'll challenge. I'll go the other way. I think it's tougher for.
That's why I was hedging it. Like I'm not completely sold. I think, Orlando doesn't really have the late postseason experience. Philly does, obviously. Cincy will be without
Matt Miazga, Defender of the Year.
Yeah. And that, by the way, there was a big, and this is where I missed, not being on with you, obviously, last week, but there was like a big kerfuffle about what he meant by what he was doing. Like, no, he was actually being nice to the fans. Like he was showing. No, he wasn't.
Have you seen the video from the end zone?
He's from Jersey. That was sarcasm.
Yeah.
Like he was giving it to them. And he deserved the yellow.
Absolutely. And
we still haven't heard yet, right, about what happened with referee room and all that. I do know, having been in Red Bull Arena a million times, the ref room is like directly across from the visitor locker room, so he doesn't have to seek it out.
Oh, okay.
That's for sure.
He knows his geography. What's the latest?
And also just last one on the Vancouver thing. The only thing I didn't understand, and I'm sure again you've probably talked it to death here, is I don't, and I think Sartini's point is like, why doesn't that play stop?
Mm-hmm.
There would be no issues after that. I mean, he had other issues obviously during it, but
yeah,
that situation is what pushed it over the top and which caused him, to be like Nutty Professor. Although, you know what I always think of him? I always feel like he's Mr. Bean, right? When Mr. Bean goes to his Italian character,
yeah,
to me that's Vanni Sartini.
Wow, Rowan Atkinson is Vanni Sartini. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, but when he goes like the Italian, or was it, no, maybe not. Maybe what was that race movie? Remember the it was such a dumb movie. Like
probably because I saw it and enjoyed it.
Yeah, like it was a race for a bunch of people.
Cannonball Run.
What's that?
Cannonball Run?
No. Like Rowan Atkinson was in it.
Oh, crap! IMDb, where are you?
Like Whoopi Goldberg, I think, was in it. Smash Mouth was in the end of it.
Oh my God! I did not see this one. Rat Race, no?
Yes.
Okay, Rat Race. Okay.
So in Rat Race, he played an Italian guy, and that to me, Vanni Sartini. Like it's played the same way. Anyway, thank you. And that's what you get on Wednesdays here, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I don't. I think if that just gets blown dead right there, like, listen, mea culpa, sorry, Vancouver ball right here.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have had what we had. Now, it's interesting, right? Because as much as we've said this a million times on this show, we want more transparency from pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, were they quick to put out their statement about Sartini?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have no problem with hitting social media really quick when they're, I guess, under attack, but not when one of their constituents messes up.
Mm-hmm. That's where we are. What's the latest with MLS Soccer? So MLSsoccer.com, you taking a week off. What's up with OSDB and Varsity Media?
Varsity Media, I've got 4 championship football games this weekend.
4, nice.
So Friday, I'm at Hofstra for the public school Big Boy Championship, Massapequa and Syosset.
Ooh, okay.
And then Saturday in the Catholic League, I've got a triple header.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Up at Fordham University.
Uh-huh.
So it's funny. One of the coaches was telling me the Iona coach, and they're close to Fordham. They're in Westchester. He's like, it's going to be great. You're going to get people who go out to Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, have lunch before they go, and this and that. And I said, listen, do you know any of those people? Because I'd like to get an order in, because I'm going to be in the press box in the booth, like talking from like 11 in the morning, although I'll be there like at 11 in the morning until probably 9 o'clock at night. So
just DoorDash it. That's all you got to do.
He mentioned that too, but like, I guess they'll just come right up to the press box, I guess, right?
Yeah. Just sit there, just to make sure that you clear it with security. Security brings it up and you're good.
Oh yeah. Good point.
All right. Go get out of here. Go study, my friend.
All
right. Dylan Butler. He's a dad. He's got a quadruple header, and this is where we do the hot tag. And it's okay. You could have had your sip, Bart. It's all good. Get your coffee in. Is it Chur on the mug today?
Yes, it is.
There you go. And here I thought that it might have been Arsenal on the mug this morning.
Sure.
We talked about Arsenal and VAR, and we talked about other things, and we can do that in Reffing Down here a little further down. But there was a piece of news yesterday that was remotely important when it comes to the women's national team. And it appears that now Emma Hayes is going to be making 3 times what Serena Wiegmann is making, and they've opened up the checkbook. Emma Hayes coming over. Finally, probably, possibly, no more. It is done deal.
Yeah, the reported $1.6 million. That's fantastic from U.S. Soccer to see that investment in their women's national team coach. Let's not forget that the women's national team is the most successful thing that this federation has produced, even without the investment that the federation has put into it throughout the years, throughout the recent years. So it is great to see that they recognize that the Vlatko era was not up to snuff. And it's great to see that they recognize the need to go get a world-class coach for world-class players, because as I have said all along, John, this is not a talent issue. We have talent. And Emma Hayes knows how to manage talent, how to maximize talent, and also how to develop talent. And those are the three things that I'm looking forward to seeing her bring into this position. The other thing that I think justifies the salary a little bit is I would imagine she will be working a lot more with Matt Crocker to revamp the talent identification and development system in the women's side. She has been an opponent of the college game, even though she coached there for a little bit. But I think she understands how NWSL can drive good youth development in this country. And, they just need to do a better job of finding those opportunities. But she has, in my opinion, the best resume one could ask for this coming into this position. Outside of the only critique I have is she doesn't have international management experience, but I feel confident that her just general philosophy of management will be good enough.
So what's the timeline or anticipated timeline for Twyla Kilgore to continue to be the substitute teacher and Emma Hayes taking in? Is it going to be transcontinental travel? What's the deal?
Yeah, so no transcontinental travel, it seems. I would imagine transcontinental Zoom calls and a lot of emails and PowerPoints going
I just have this vision of Twyla Kilgore with a laptop at practice with Emma.
Possibly.
Emma Hayes' head going like, no!
It is funny, and that's the only real downside to this is Emma can't come in right now. She's going to finish her job at Chelsea, which ends depending on when their season ends, but it'll end in May at some point in time. U.S. Soccer released yesterday that she will have 2 windows to work with the team, so that's 4 matches total. They said 2 in June, 2 in July. So I'm assuming the July ones are specifically carved out for the Olympic prep. And then June is a regular FIFA window. So she won't be managing the team in December. She won't be managing the team at the CONCACAF W Gold Cup in February and March. And I believe there's still the April window for the women's national teams as well. So a little bit of a disappointment there for sure, because not to rag on Twyla, but it's been frustrating to watch her trot out the same stuff that Vlatko trotted out. Now, that could change drastically with Emma Hayes providing direction, tactics, and insight to Twyla and the team and kind of dictating how they're going to play. Because that is the biggest change that we need to see immediately, is a style of play, a more... Vlatko's system was somehow complicated, yet also confusing at the same time, right? It wasn't intricate movement. It was a whole lot of safe passing. And I don't think we'll see that from an Emma Hayes system. So I'm hopeful that we can see those tactics implemented as soon as possible.
Joining us for Reffing Down Here, it's Nick.
Oh, what's up, Nick?
What's happening?
So, yeah, Nick, we are discussing with Bart the new hire of the women's national team and Emma Hayes. We'll get into Reffing Down Here, where Bart, I will try to bring in Reffing Down Here subjects in between sips of his coffee, because I'm guessing Arsenal will be a part of the discussion this week. Anything else on his mind? Nick, question for Bart about Emma Hayes, women's national team stuff, men's, women's, go.
Yes, Bart, thank you for taking my question. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why is it that the women's organization seems to value daring, seems to value success, seems to value upward trajectory, and the men's organization seems to value pleated khakis. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, quite frankly, women are awesome and men suck. So there's your answer. Yeah, but that's been the standard from the beginning, right? I think the U.S. was a pioneer in women's soccer from the beginning, and the fact that they just, I'm not saying they treated the women's program particularly well, equitably, or fairly, but they at least tried. And I think outside of the federation, the youth soccer took off really quickly with the women's game. And, that has yielded great results on the women's side. Whereas the men's team, the program itself doesn't seem to be able to get out of its own way. And then on top of that, youth soccer on the men's side is hampered by the fact that there are a ton of other sports that young boys could choose to play. Some of them a lot less cheaper than, travel soccer. But, those are balls of yarn that I don't think we can truly untwine today. But yeah, look, the Matt Crocker, again, saw what happened during the Vlaco regime and said that's not good enough. Clearly it wasn't. And decided that they're going to go out and get someone who is one of the top 3 coaches in the world.
It's crazy what happens whenever you value success and winning and say, you know what, we're going to spend like that matters, as opposed to, hey, my brother's a pretty decent manager. Maybe you can give him a shot, Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and isn't it crazy the list of accolades that Emma has compared to when Greg was hired, right? And I'm not even trying to knock Greg Berhalter down because, I think at that time he was probably the most successful, best, if you will, U.S. men's veteran who was a coach at that time, right? You could argue Jesse Marsh, but I think we would all agree that the Marsh system wouldn't work well on the international level. But I think that's the problem here. As you said, people are mad about Emma getting hired. Oh, why can't we do this on the men's side? And the reality is the women's national team still has the best and most talented player pool of any national team anywhere. And is still the program that's won 4 World Cups and 4 gold medals. And the men's team has been good as of late. We've got a couple of CONCACAF Nations Leagues and a Gold Cup. Congratulations. That's fantastic. But still hasn't achieved great success at the World Cup level.
So before we go into the men's side of things, roster and the November window, I guess my first question, subset, is can you come back on Friday at 10:30 to discuss what happened on Thursday?
I can try, yeah.
Okay. So
I think we can make that happen.
Bart can effort returning on Friday to discuss the Thursday window. So one last thing on the women's side, the NWSL championship game had its own set of bonkers and crazy and beginning and end. And I guess this would almost be a reffing down here part of it too. What did you think of the last game of the year in the NWSL?
It was all the chaos that I think we wanted, minus one piece of chaos that no one wanted to see.
Yeah.
It really sucks that Pino's career ends like that. As she said, she yeeted her Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of that, though, it was a really good game. It was exciting. It was a great display of what NWSL soccer is. There's no shortage of chances. There's no shortage of attacking phases of play. And at the end of the day, you had chaos. That was correct. I mean, it was a handball outside the box. It's a dog show red card. But you add to that the fact that Gotham had no subs left, so you had to put a field player in goal for a free kick 12 yards out with Rose Lavelle standing over the ball. It's fantastic. I loved it.
So, all right. So walk us through the situation. Is long ball at the end, keeper kind of caught between ideas.
Yeah.
Keeper is standing inside the 18, but touches the ball with both mitts trying to punch clear. Hands are outside the 18, even though the body is inside the 18 for reffing down here part of episode 1. The second those hands clear that plane, then that's danger.
Yes. So think of it in a more or a less chaotic situation. How many times have we been a player, maybe a winger or a left back or something, on the touchline, and the ball is a little hit too hot, and they take a step back over the touchline to receive a pass? That ball is what matters. Did the ball cross the line or not? Right? So in this instance, the ball is outside of the playing area fully. Her hands fully outside the playing area. Where her feet are is inconsequential. That doesn't matter, right? Same as if you're playing a ball out of play. You can be out of play. As long as the ball is in play, you can be out of play. In this situation, you can be inside the box, but if the ball's outside of the box and you're going to touch it with your hands, that's going to be a problem. And because of that, it's a dog, so red card regardless, right? That's just what that is. You're denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. And the red card, because it's outside the penalty area, is the correct course of action there. And the goalkeeper has to leave the field to play. And again, you get into the silliness of they don't have a sub. So they have to put a player onto the field who put the gloves on before the goalkeeper jersey, which is how you immediately know they're not a goalkeeper. And has to be in goal for, I think they put every single player they could into that wall. And the wall did its job.
Well, what you're supposed to do at that point is you sit there and you find a player on the offense that's out to the right.
Yeah.
Outside the wall, and you sit there and you play.
I think taking the direct free kick there was probably the wrong idea from Rain. That is a tough place to take a kick from 18 and a half yards out, to get it up and over a 72-person wall and try to get it into either corner. That would have been tough, even with a not goalkeeper in goal. I think they should have tried to do something a little bit, not crazy, but just a little less direct. But they didn't, and Gotham wins NWSL championship, going from worst to first within the span of 12 months.
And
justice is served.
Yes, absolutely.
Justice is served. Mother goes out a champion.
And I think that's honestly outside of even the personal stuff that Allie Figures had to deal with over the past 2 months. It's great to see Allie go out a champion, because she has been such a great, important player, not only in WSL, but also the U.S. women's national team history. A player who is fairly selfless, right? And willing to do what's best for the team. But someone who's also been seen as a leader, maybe a quiet leader, but still a leader. And glad that she can go out as a winner. And she really does deserve it.
So, and you look at that roster: Krieger, Lynn Williams, and two other folks that are, I think, just as important in this: Mana Shim and Sinead Farrelly.
Yeah. Again, when you talk about what NWSL has dealt with over the past 2-3 years with sexual harassment and gender discrimination, not lawsuits necessarily, but just a whole lot of cases and issues. The fact that those two women who kind of were the initial whistleblowers are now champions of the league is quite a storybook ending. And you do it the same night that two legends of the game are retiring. You do it in front of the largest crowd in championship history. You do it in front of a TV audience that's pretty darn high. It was a good showcase for the league. And the fact that it was on Saturday at primetime is even cooler.
Second highest viewing audience in NWSL over-the-air history. The 22 championship game had a slightly higher audience, both clearing over 800,000 in their viewership. We've got the men's team. The last time I heard, they're going to be performing and doing some things with a couple of different legs going up against Trinidad and Tobago, trying to win their third straight Nations League. You get losers of the quarterfinals go into one-game playoffs to determine the final two teams in the 6 CONCACAF contingent at the Copa America. when you look at this roster, Horvath, Slanina, Turner, CCV Dest, Christopher Lund, Ream, Richards, Jedi, Miles, Joe Scally, Paxton Aronson, Johnny, who I think was injured and pulled.
Yeah, Johnny is no longer there. Yeah.
Luca De La Torre, Leonard Maloney, Weston McKinney, Yunus Musa, Gio Reyna, Tillman, Brendan Aronson, Falarin Balogun, Paredes, Pepes, and Dejas. Gio Reyna turns 21 on November 13. When you look at this roster heading into this group, heading into this international window, what do you see?
Well, obviously you don't see Christian Pulisic. Obviously you don't see Tim Weah. But I don't think those two names are that important for this particular window. The rest of the squad is good enough to beat Trinidad, especially over a two-legged series, right? So that just puts a lot more pressure on the game in Austin. But by pressure, I mean, instead of winning 2-0 or 3-0, you need to win 5 or 6-0 to really give yourself that cushion and to relieve U.S. men's national team fans from any anxiety we would have going down to Trinidad for a must-win game on Monday.
Just don't do it in Cuba. That's all we ask.
It's not in Cuba.
Okay.
So, at least not right now. Who knows? That could change, as I did back in whatever year that was.
Mm-hmm.
For that thing that definitely didn't happen, and I don't have any recollection of.
Yes, we all kind of blacked out. Just shoot from distance when you're going against Tim Howard. Nick, men's team, 2 legs against Trinidad and Tobago, and we'll see what happens on Thursday with leg number 1.
Yeah, look, it's player health is the big takeaway here. I agree with Bart. I don't think there should be too much issue for the U.S. against TNT, but this is the time of year, especially for those Euro boys who are going into some tough sledding. The guys who are based in Italy are going to be playing on very tough pitches and very bad weather. Same with the German and Austrian kids, and any sort of nicks and injuries that you pick up now are going to be detrimental to you in the second half of the season. So to me, this is the window that concerns me the most if I'm a more club over country guy, just because this is when the dumb things typically happen.
Yeah.
And so, can the U.S. get in and out of this window with minimal injury pickups? For Miles Robinson, you're coming off of a very long season. You're trying to work your way to Europe. The key here is stay healthy. So, don't do anything stupid. But I hate this window more than any of the others, even like that was it the October window, I want to say. That one doesn't bother me too much, but this one does. This window really, really bothers me because you're going into that winter transfer window when your team has the best opportunity to make money. If you're a player, this is when you can get that next big contract, by going to a new team. There's a lot on the line and very little to gain. And so if you're Miami right now, you're probably absolutely going DEFCON 1 because you're trying to plan a worldwide tour and your star is training with Argentina. So I hate this.
And to your point, Nick, Trinidad is a bunch of guys from lower leagues, right? So for them, they're also probably thinking of a move up, or they're the exact opposite, and they don't care. They're just trying to make a Nations League final, So I'm with you. The health is the most important. So having a good performance on Thursday, making sure that we're all healthy, we get several goals, so that Monday matches we can make some business decisions. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
All right, last 10 minutes of the show. We'll start reffing down here, and obviously if there's any carryover upon your return, sir.
Oh, boy, yeah.
We will continue to discuss. But in addition to reffing down here with the NWSL final, before we get into actual decisions, I want to get into a picture that I want to say it was Chris Hutchinson. He posted, and he wanted to know if you had seen a photo like the one that
I see
Murphy Candler.
Yeah, I have.
In any public situation.
Yeah, Chris, I've seen some of those. UFA is the one that has them a lot. And I think, again, an important reminder to parents to remember that this is one game or one event in several many that you're going to partake in this year. And at the end of the day, a scholarship is not going to be awarded, especially with all the video cameras that we have going on at soccer games, on whether or not a referee, a 14-year-old AR, gets a ball in and out of play correct. You know, I had a very young ref. I was proud of him for being focused on the game. Whether or not he was fully attentive and looking like he was fully attentive is another thing, but he was. I will give him credit. But if you've ever tried to watch a 12 or 13-year-old, you know that their body language is, their body language is weird. And you just hope that they're paying attention to whatever you want them to pay attention to. And, he was doing fine, actually, but some of the parents were adamant that there were goals that were offside. And I'm looking at them and I literally said, I think y'all need to reread the offside rule because you seem to have a great misunderstanding of what this is. And he was like 13, 14 years old. His dad was actually on the sideline watching them because he was like, parent supervision, basically. But he did fine. But yeah, these types of signs we need to, it doesn't always work, I'll say, but it is a good reminder that, especially at younger levels, we're all out there learning, trying to get better, trying to do the best job we can. And especially at younger levels, that means you're going to have younger referees, and you need to have a little bit of patience because without them at that level, right, you're not going to have good referees for your kids when they're 16, 17, 18 years old. And parents do need to understand that, right? There's been this discourse on Twitter about how there needs to be just a level of professionalism at a U9 level from the referees. And I'm going, U9? We're just happy that they all run in the same direction at U9. What are we talking about here? We're happy they kicked the ball at the goal. They passed to a teammate still at U9. We're just happy they do that. Why do you need a referee to somehow be a freaking FIFA certified official? So parents need to just kind of take a bite of reality for a second, which I know is, again, I understand when you have a child, your brain goes to mush and the only thing you think of is that child. I get it. But you got to come back into the real world for a second and understand that your child is not the main character in the world.
And bang. That's it. Yep. That's the thing is that, and I've seen this firsthand, that there are a lot of parents who think their child is the main character of the story. And this referee, like some 90s movie villain, is trying to rob their child of this golden moment. And this golden moment that will send their child off to this superstar trajectory. No one cares. No one cares. There's no scout that's at that UFA or that rush or that Inter-Atlanta tournament that is going to sign your child to some kind of crazy deal. And, if the kid hauls off an unbelievable golazo and it is ruled offside by some, 14-year-old AR, that, if let's say magically there's a scout there, that scout is only looking at the magnificence of the shot and not
Thank you.
The AR call. They don't care.
And I referee, games and tournaments where there are college scouts there, right? And I can tell you, they don't care about a call that I make. They're not looking at that. To your point, Nick, if you score a golazo, or if your kid makes a fantastic pass to then spring that great golazo, but it was offside, they're looking at the action on the field. Again, you have these VAO cameras up everywhere. Okay. They have the footage. They can watch it. My whistle on a kid being half a step offside or a ball being slightly in and out of play or whatever, that's not what the college scout was looking at. I promise you. You can still show that goal on your highlight footage. They don't need to know you were offside, by the way.
Right. I know a college coach, and I'm telling you, she doesn't pay 1 ounce of attention to the videos that you're spending and look, I'm shooting my own self in the foot here because I can make a ton of money making these videos. But these videos that you get and you upload to these scouting websites, look, the coaches have a network and someone says, hey, I got someone you need to look at and he or she is really good. That is worth its weight in gold to any college coach, more so than the dubstep remix edit that you've put together for your scouting website. Okay. They don't care that you have, Diplo playing in the background while your kid is trying to, do a sombrero in the middle of a tournament. But if there's another coach who says, hey, college coach, I got a really good kid here who's not just technically good, but is also has a fantastic attitude, easy to work with, very coachable. And I think you need to take a look. That is where the investment needs to be made. Teach your kid not to be a little snot. Teach your kid to work on the little things. And parent, shut your trap, because there are some coaches who will look and be like, I don't want to deal with everything else this kid brings because the parents are psychopaths. And I want nothing to do with that as well. So invest more in shutting your trap and watching your kid play and teaching your kid to be a good person, as opposed to creating Disco Inferno in 4K.
and I'll give some parents credit. I had some great parents this weekend where they were just positive and cheering the whole time. And that's all you need. That's your job there, is to be positive and cheer for your team, cheer for the players. I remember going to watch my little brothers play youth baseball and like applauding a play that the other kid, like a kid on the other team makes. And some parents turn around like, what? I'm like, he made a good play. Like, this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And as a referee, it's hard because like I can't outwardly express like, oh my gosh, that was great. But I've been on the sideline many a times as an AR, and like a kid will make a great play, be it a great pass or a good shot or whatever. Goalkeeper makes a great save, and I can't help myself. I'll utter like, wow, that was good. And parents will look at me like, what? I'm like, yo, we're here to have fun and enjoy this game. You can acknowledge when a kid does a good job. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong. I mean, nothing wrong with that. You're definitely going to have to come back with reffing down.
Yeah.
What's your number one reffing down here incident from the week?
Well, honestly, it was the NWSL final because there was a lot of confusion of, well, she was standing inside the penalty area, and it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't. I'll say this about the Atlanta United game: there didn't seem to be any legitimate like referee blunders in that game that I can think of. Granted, anyone who blames a referee or points to a referee decision in that game needs to get their head checked, because Atlanta United got played off the pitch, and that's another thing that I think people are too quick to like point at the referee, and it's like, well, you lost 4-2. How did the referee, manage that for you? No, that was the NWSL final was a big one because it was such a contentious moment, such a slightly confusing moment, and such a big moment in the match.
Okay. The new Soccer for US POD is out. Because I was stuck in traffic coming back from Chattanooga, because apparently an 18-wheeler jackknifed or got into an accident 75 South. Took me 3.5 hours to get back from Chattanooga today.
Lord, I'm sorry.
So that was fun going through all of the 2-lane roads of East Cobb trying to come home.
Lord.
New Soccer for US POD is up. Are you and U.S. Keeper and everybody going to be creating a new one because of Emma Hayes now, or are you gonna?
No, we already did we kind of did our Emma Hayes one last week, right when the news broke that she was probably going to be hired. So I'll probably just repost that tomorrow, Friday, and talk about that. But we'll have some stuff next week after the Nations League has concluded, and we'll probably talk a little bit about Emma Hayes there, because hopefully. This window is uneventful, and we just get to brag about beating Trinidad by several goals. I will say we are as U.S. men's national team fans, we have a little bit of PTSD having to go down to Trinidad to play games, but we have beaten them 6-7 and 6-0 since that time. So this is not that Trinidad team. We don't have aging Tim Howard, aging Michael Bradley, aging Omar Gonzalez, and Bruce Arena coaching. We have a lot better talent. and better circumstances going for us this time around.
All right. So in Pencil, 10:30 on
10:30 on Friday.
10:30. Yeah,
I have a wedding Thursday night, so this is the tricky thing. I have to go to a wedding Thursday. I did not schedule the wedding. There's a wedding on Thursday night, so that is the tricky part of this.
They were smart enough not to do it on a Saturday in fall.
Yeah, well, they're not really big football fans, so I don't think they cared about that. But yeah, I didn't plan it, but it's all the way out in Snellville too. So I got.
Oh God, no! That violates Nick's law of over 30 minutes of travel for a wedding.
Yeah, the wedding proximities issues.
Yeah, I didn't plan this wedding, but I'll be there, so I'll be watching the game that night after I get home.
It'll be like the scene with Joey in the Giants game on the Friends episode where he's tucked in the corner and he's kind of watching.
Yeah. Well, luckily I'm driving there and back, so it's not like I'm going to be partaking in massive festivities, but I'll be out there a little late. But.
Proper hydration and carbs. So in Pencil, 10:30, 10:35 ish for the last half hour of the week. And there's a vicious rumor that Maddie Cruz might be crashing the party as well to turn it into a full party line for the final half hour.
Fantastic.
So enjoy your wedding and enjoy the wedding, not your wedding, but enjoy the wedding.
Not my wedding.
And we will catch up with you.
There would be news about that. On some sort of social media.
Yeah, there would be. So Bart, we will catch up with you hopefully after your wedding recovery on Friday at 10:30. Start.
Cheers, y'all.
And there he goes. So that's Bart. And so Nick, any final thoughts before we go?
Drink coffee, drink water, and don't be a jerk on the sidelines at your kid's soccer game because no one cares.
Yes, exactly.
No one cares.
Yep. Fun show across the board today. We had Alton Byrd, the CEO of Chattanooga FC, on to discuss their move to MLS Next Pro. Speaking of which, Atlanta United 2, they announced their roster moves for the season, and there was a fair number of them. So let me see if I can.
Well, hold on, John. Before you do that, I missed the fantastic interview with the Chattanooga FC leadership there. If I wanted to go back and listen to it, how could I do so?
Well, it'll be two different ways. We will pull the Alton Byrd interview and we will post it to the network. So however you consume your information here at SDH, that would be the way to do it. But we will also have a special where we caught up with the head of MLS Next Pro. We caught up with the mayor of Chattanooga. We caught up with head coach Rod Underwood. And we caught up with AB. So it'll be a separate Chattanooga FC program. You can listen to the Alton Byrd one-on-one, or you can listen to our separate Chattanooga FC program across the platforms here on the SDH network. We mentioned Atlanta United 2 moves heading into the 2024 season. In addition to Alan Carlton and Johnny Vial under contract for 24, club exercised options for Matias Gajardo and Kareem Tamimi. Luke Brennan, Nick Firmino, Aiden Torres each had MLS Next Pro contracts for 23. Each player joins the first team starting New Year's Day. Declined contract options on Fouad Adani, David Mejia, Sebastian Guerra, Emanike, Nelson Orji, Tony Tiente, Kofi Tumasi, Tyler Young are out of contract. Club remains in active discussions with Tumasi. Additionally, the MLS loan for Chris Gloucester expired at the end of the 23 season. 3 other players had season-long loans from the first team. Efren Morales, Justin Garces, Eric Centeno. Morales and Garces have 24 first-team options. Centeno is under first-team club control through the 26 season. So that is your rundown of everything with Atlanta United 2. So we'll be back at it again tomorrow at 9:05. Maddie comes in at 9:15. Madison comes in at 9:15 to talk Soccer's in Session. We go through all of the college stuff going on. 10 o'clock, Kaylor Hodges, the USL show. 10:30, Nico Moreno for Thursdays with Nico. We catch up with Christina Uncle Thursday afternoon. We'll play that in the Friday show of a varying length to be determined. So, Nick, since you are still here, go ahead, sir. Send us home.
Until next time, everybody, we appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much. We really, really do appreciate it. And mucha euro, y'all.
What he said. End of the show means I get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning.